career, and it's something that he thrives in.
Even before that, the year Kurt Warner was with the team in 2004, the Giants finished 6-10.
Right.
The final game of the season on ESPN Sunday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys, he led him down the field to that 6th victory, and it was a sign of things to come.
Yeah, that was a game that gave everyone kind of a good feeling about the future. I mean, he drove him down. He hadn't won a game as a starter, and then he gives the draw play to Barber up the middle for the touchdown, and they just from then on, he's been almost a master of the 2-minute drill.
And 6-10 sounds a lot better than 5-11. They're both lousy. But moving on, let's talk about Bill Belichick's behavior towards the end of the game, wanting to run out on the field. Yes, it's great to shake hands and what have you, but you just look at his demeanor. Something's not right with Mr. Belichick.
That was kind of a really confusing ending. People thought that the clock had run out, and they put a second back, and everyone ran to the field to celebrate. I mean, they got Coughlin with the Gatorade bath, so I mean, really kind of confusing at the end before everything got straightened out. But I mean, this is something Belichick's never had to deal with. He's never gotten to a Super Bowl and lost before.
Eli Manning and Tom Coughlin, now the monkey off their back. Whether they win another championship or not, I think it's time now to give these guys their due. And I think those two gentlemen breathe a sigh of relief, and they're like, wow, you know what, we did it. You can't bother us anymore, folks.
Yeah, and I mean, Coughlin should be expecting a new contract within the next week or so, and he earned it. I mean, he took a team that had lost in the first round of the playoffs the past 2 years and changed something, turned everything around, and led this team to the promised land.
The Giants win 4 playoff games by a combined 20 points. Very close games, all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Even the 10-point contest, Garcia was leading them down the field late. You were kind of, shaking your head, wondering, well, hey, Tampa might have a comeback left in him. But the point I'm trying to make here is that they win 4 games by close margins. Tiki Barber, Tiki Barber sitting at home, probably saying, maybe I should have stuck around for this.
Yeah, I mean, he claims he doesn't have any regrets, but I think, you have to think about it. It has to cross your mind that, wow, I was on this team last year, now they're winning a world title without me. I mean, had he been on the team, who knows what would have happened if we would have still won, or if we would have, who knows? But, the thought's got to cross his mind.
Less than 48 hours from now, the Pro Bowl. Robert, I'd rather watch paint dry for 3 hours. Your sentiments on the matter?
Well, I think instead of talking about the Pro Bowl, we should mention that Steve Spagnuolo will be returning to the Giants. They were talk about him getting the head coaching job at Washington. He interviewed there, but he signed a 3-year extension with the Giants for about $2 million a year, top-paid defensive coordinator in the league. So, Giants pretty happy about that.
Smart decisions keep the team intact. We'd like to give a special thanks to the Cutting Edge, located on Forest Avenue.
That's right, and no matter who you get when you get there, you're going to leave pretty happy.
I will certainly be pretty soon, because I'm going to get my hair cut as well. They're going to close by the time we get out of here, so it'll have to be tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on now to the New York Metropolitans. The big splash. They reeled in Mr. Johan Santana. A mega deal, Robert.
Yeah, definitely. The Yankees and Red Sox were thought to be the front runners since the offseason began, when the Mets just kind of lurking in the background. But after the Yankees and Red Sox dropped out, the Mets were still there, and the Twins, pulled the trigger, and the Mets landed one of the best pitchers in the league. 93
and 44 for his career with a 3.22 earned run average, 4 straight years of 200 innings pitched, and 200 strikeouts. 2 Cy Young awards, but this is what I want to go back to last season. He only finished 1-4 in his final 6 starts, and his ERA at the All-Star break was at a 2.75. Finished his season at a 3.33. Was he a bit overused last year? Did he stay in too long? What were the contributing factors to his sluggish finish?
It's really tough to say. Last year they weren't in a playoff race really towards the end, so maybe that had something to do with it. But who knows? These things are really tough to tell, especially with pitchers in baseball. So it could have been a number of things, but I think that the move is going to rejuvenate him. Going to the National League obviously usually helps pitchers switching over from the American League.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
And as good as Kadire, Morneau, Hunter, and Mauer were, they just didn't seem to score a lot of runs for this guy. 3.33 earned run average in the American League should get you about 20 wins, but it was only 15 and 13.
Yeah, so definitely he should get more run support with the Mets, you would think, and hopefully that'll help him out.
I'm going to go on and say in his first year with the Mets, I think he'll go maybe 19-7 with a 2.85 ERA, let's say.
I think Mets fans would sign up for that in a heartbeat.
And a lot of people are projecting that he's going to win 20 games and the ERA is going to be a lot lower. I don't want to go crazy here, but it's a distinct possibility. Shea Stadium at Pitchers Park. And hey, you know what? Pedro won 15 in his first year here. And Santana, younger, I think he will approach 20, if not get it.
He definitely has the ability to. There's no question about that. He's one of the top pitchers in baseball, and now he's going to come over in a good ballpark for him. He has the chance to dominate.
Now, the Mets, the Phillies, and the Braves, these are three great offensive teams, all three ranked in the top 4, 5, or 6, respectively, in runs scored, RBIs, and home runs. We know they can knock the cover off the ball. Yowza! It's going far, it's going deep, it's gone. Plenty of home run hitters, plenty of guys stealing bases all around. But for these three teams to make the playoffs, it's going to come down to pitching. Robert, we'll start with the New York Mets.
Yeah, obviously Santana is going to head the pitching staff. You're going to hope that Pedro Martinez can stay healthy for a year and kind of replace Tom Glavine. And then you have Perez, Maine, and El Duque to ride out the rotation. Perez and Maine each won 15 games last year. The Mets were one of maybe the only team in the National League, I think, last year to have 3 15-game winners. I mean, with Santana, if you take his record, they'd be one of the only teams to have 3 15-game winners in their rotation. So, I mean, well, hopefully they can sustain it. El Duque is a great number 5 pitcher. He's a great situational clutch pitcher. So hopefully that this staff can ride into shape.
And real quickly, their bullpen. You want to take a look at Heilman, Sanchez, Feliciano, Wagner. I know I'm leaving out a few names here. Mike Pelfrey will certainly be thrown in there. Scott Schoenweiss. They got Matt Wise, I believe.
Yeah, Matt Wise.
With the Milwaukee Brewers, they also have Joe Smith, who'd probably be the last guy to probably make the team from the bullpen. But the bullpen, not very bad, but they were taxed last season. They were in the games in the 4th and 5th innings, and they were one of the reasons for the Met collapse, but they were overused in their defense, Robert.
Yeah, they didn't get a lot of innings out of the pitching staff. A lot of their pitchers, as good as stuff as they have, they don't really get out of it after 6 innings. They're usually spent. So the bullpen had a lot of work to do. I think the key to the bullpen is going to be Sanchez, his return, and how effective he is. I think if he can be a dominant setup guy, then the Mets are really a World Series contender.
Moving on now to the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm in the mood for a cheesesteak. You, maybe?
Always.
Yeah, why not? We'll go down to Geno's and hop on the turnpike, go down to Philadelphia. But if we do go to Philadelphia, we have to check out their stadium. It's a beautiful stadium, home to the National League East champions. It's still in my mind. You think about it. It was an amazing upset last season.
One of the worst collapses you could really imagine for the Mets, being up all those games with less than about 2 or 3 weeks to go, and they blow the division like that. But you got to regroup, and Santana should help them. You erase your memory and you move on.
They lose Rowan, but they add Jeff Jenkins, Pedro Feliz, So Taguchi. Very great team. They have the 3 guys with Burrell, Rollins, Utley, Howard. You can match up any other 4 power hitters in the National League, maybe even in Major League Baseball. They're that dangerous. But like we mentioned, this segment's all about the team's individual pitching. We look at their top 5 with Hamels, Myers, Moyer, Kendrick, and either Durbin or Adam Eaton as the number 5 starter, with the loser probably end up going to the bullpen. I think Eaton will be the 5th starter. Not a great rotation, but you have 2 guys at the top in Hamels and Myers who will probably they'll probably be the difference makers, because you know what you're going to get out of Moyer, 10 to 12 wins and maybe an ERA in the mid-4s. And Kyle Kendrick, I think he's going to be a very good pitcher when it's all said and done. We still have to wait and see, although he was 10-4 last season. So give me your take on the Phillies' top 5.
I think what the Phillies have going for them in their rotation is their top 2 with Hamels and Myers. Those 2 pitchers have the ability to dominate games and take over and strike out everyone and do all that kind of Cy Young type stuff. So I think that those 2 obviously are the difference maker in their rotation. The difference makers in their rotation. The bottom 3 just kind of have to, just kind of float around, the mid-3s, low 4s in ERA, and they'll get their 10 to 15 wins with that Phillies lineup.
Exactly. I was just going to say, I mean, even if Myers and Kendrick and let's say Eaton have ERAs in the 4s, maybe 5s, heck, they still might reel out 13, 14 wins and look a lot better than their resume indicates.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Philly lineup is that deep that they can do that to a pitcher.
And now their bullpen with the newly acquired Brad Lidge, he's going to close for them. Tom Gordon, Ryan Madsen, J.C. Romero. Let's talk about their bullpen and compare them to the Mets before we get to Atlanta.
Yeah, I think that their bullpen, I like bringing over Brad Lidge. I think that a move from Houston is going to help him. I mean, although the ballpark in Philadelphia is not really a great pitcher's ballpark. I think just the overall change of scenery can help him. And if him with Gordon and Madsen and Romero, I think that they can. I think I like their bullpen better than the Met bullpen right now, and I think it could be a difference maker in the division race.
The Atlanta Braves